Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What If Reborn as Gohan in future timeline will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? What if Ichigo awoke his powers to save his mother? What if Transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that as the series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 201, Dylan, I have returned. After dinner, Dylan returned to the gym. As he stared at the iconic giant roulette wheel in the lobby, he paused in thought. Asha. Yes. I'm here, gym leader Dylan. Call the craftsman and have the roulette updated. Add grass type to it. On it. Asha cheerfully took out her phone and made the call with practiced ease. Grass type? Celine tilted her head, already imagining the comments the internet would have about their gym. Grass. The infamous devious dragon ghost gym strikes again? Celine chuckled at the thought. A name like that sounded perfect. But she was also curious about how Dylan planned to utilize grass types in his gym. Still, Celine was confident it would be something unique. After all, Dylan was her teacher, there was no way he'd settle for anything boring. Her faith in him was absolute. You two, show Yellow around the gym and help her pick out a room. We have weekends off, Yellow, so you'll have time to visit your family every week. Don't worry, Dylan said warmly to his new apprentice. Of course, Dylan always treated his own people with kindness. Even when dealing with opponents, as a Sunny gym leader under the league, he maintained his trademark sincerity like with his beloved Giovanni and Lance. Sigh. It's been a while since I've seen them. I wonder where Giovanni and Lance are now. Maybe I should invite them to join Athena in prison. Visiting one would let me visit all three at once. Yes. Thank you, gym leader Dylan. Yellow, ever polite and kind, bowed deeply. Her innocent face was filled with excitement and gratitude. Go pick your new room, then have Celine and Asha take you to buy some necessities. Ask Lily for the money, it'll be an advance on your salary, Dylan said with a smile, patting Yellow's golden hair. She was such a sweet kid. With that, Dylan headed to the backyard. As soon as he stepped into the backyard, a familiar pink blur flew toward him. Meow. Meow meow meow. Snorlax, did you miss me? Dylan grinned as he caught the round-bellied Clefairy, giving its chubby tummy a good rub. Ah, the texture was as satisfying as ever. Meow. Clefairy blinked its large, sparkling eyes, cooing affectionately. But it didn't take long for Clefairy to notice the small turtle perched on Dylan's shoulder. Its wide eyes grew curious, it could tell this was no ordinary Pokémon. Terrapagos. Terrapagos gazed curiously at Clefairy in return. Having slept for so long, Terrapagos' memory of other Pokémon was fuzzy, and this round creature intrigued it. This is Terrapagos, my newly caught Pokémon, Dylan explained as he set both Terrapagos and Clefairy on the ground. Then, he released more Pokémon from their Pokeballs, Neoscarada and the others appeared one by one. As for the Paradox Pokémon he had recently caught, Dylan refrained from releasing them for now. The Paradox Pokémon were fierce and temperamental. They'd need some training before they could be properly integrated into his gym. Otherwise, chaos would surely ensue, and Dylan wasn't looking for trouble. My grass-type team is almost complete, Dylan mused as he laid out a picnic mat and sat down to think. He already had Neoscarada, Vileplume, and the newly caught Paradox Pokémon, Brute Bonnet and Iron Leaves. That's right, Iron Leaves. After catching Terrapagos and returning to the Zero Lab, Dylan had asked the AI versions of Sata and Turo about the locations of other Paradox Pokémon. He had promptly packed them all up and taken them home. With these grass types, plus the 3 new additions he'd received recently, he already had more than enough for a full team. However, Meowscarada and the others weren't suitable for facing regular challengers, so he needed some additional options. I should get in Amoonguss and also Scovillain, Dylan muttered, considering how to round out the team. He already had several offensive powerhouses. Meowscarada, Rillaboom, and Iron Leaves were all heavy hitters. I should also get a superior, high aesthetics, Dylan added to his mental list. The regal grass snake Pokémon had always appealed to him with its elegant design. While its contrary ability was a double-edged sword, Dylan felt it was worth the risk. Alright, so what's the next team I should build? Dylan wondered aloud. Maybe a fire-type team? That one's almost ready too. Just needs a few more additions. He already had several fire types on hand, Incineroar, Cerulege, and Volcarona. Adding the recently caught Iron Moth and Charcadet, plus a Drought Ninetales, would round it out nicely. I should ask Charles for a Charmander. You can't have a fire team without a Charizard, Dylan said decisively, dialing Chairman Charles. Charmander was relatively rare in the wild, but more importantly, starter Pokémon were usually controlled and distributed by regional leagues. Asking Charles for one was the simplest solution. Good afternoon, Chairman Charles. Have you had lunch yet? Hey, come on now, I can't call you without needing something. Well, actually, I do have a small favor to ask. Dylan cleared his throat awkwardly. Charles wasn't one to let him get away with any pretense. Chairman, as someone born and raised in Kanto, don't you think I'm missing something? A Pokémon that represents Kanto's pride, of course. No, not Dragonite, I mean Charizard. Yes, I'd like a Charmander for a fire-type team. Preferably one with the solar power ability. Great. Thank you, Chairman. Oh, and while you're at it, could you find me 2 Drought Vulpix as well? You're the best, Chairman Charles. Dylan ended the call feeling thoroughly pleased. Connections truly were everything. Charles was such a reliable ally. By evening, Dylan had 3 new Pokémon in hand. Come on out, Dylan said as he released them into the backyard. 3 beams of light flashed, revealing 3 adorable Pokémon. On the left was a lizard-like Pokémon with a round, shiny head and a flame burning on its tail. It was a Charmander, but what surprised Dylan most was its golden-yellow coloration. A shiny Charmander? The chairman really went all out, Dylan said, delighted. Shiny Charizard, with its sleek black design, was nothing short of iconic. Beside Charmander were 2 Vulpix, their jewel-like eyes sparkling as they curiously observed Dylan. You little cuties, Dylan said as he crouched to pet the fox's fluffy heads, giving Charmander's shiny dome a playful rub while he was at it. Half a month passed, and the Rota Gym's reputation grew even brighter. That day, the gym welcomed the return of a familiar face. Humph. Rota Gym. The Great Blue is back. The gym doors swung open as a confident, sharp-eyed young man strode in, one hand in his pocket. You are Mr. Blue? Seated at the front desk, Asha stood up and recognized him after a moment's thought. Wasn't this guy Gary's older brother? That's right. It's me. Is Dylan here? Blue asked, glancing around the gym with satisfaction. Blue. Dylan. Blue's sharp gaze locked onto Dylan's. Today, I'll show you the results of my training. I've reached champion level. Blue's grin grew cockier. As he spun the roulette wheel, the arrow landed on the green grass-type section. Ha! Grass types? Easy win for me, Blue said with a smirk. Chapter 202, Can It Just Not Exist? Come quick, everyone. Blue's back to challenge the gym again. Ha! He finally returned, ha! Up in the spectators' seating, Celine, Lily, Asha, and Yellow were already lined up, waiting for the battle to begin. Who's this blue guy? Lily asked curiously. She hadn't joined the Rota gym when Blue first came to challenge it. He's an arrogant guy, but his strength is undeniable. Honestly, he's probably the most talented challenger we've ever had, Celine replied. Her impression of Blue was strong. After all, he was Gary's older brother, and his skills were just as impressive as his cocky attitude. Yellow, intrigued, listened quietly as her seniors discussed Blue. According to him earlier, he's already reached champion level. He only started his journey this year. That kind of talent is insane, Asha whispered. A rookie champion level trainer? Lily blinked in surprise. Having followed Dylan on his travels, Lily had seen her fair share of champion level trainers. But a rookie who had reached that level so quickly? This was a first for her. If he can do it in a year, so can I. Celine declared proudly, crossing her arms with an air of confidence. Celine, you absolutely can. Lily and Asha chimed in with supportive smiles. They weren't trainers themselves, but that didn't stop them from cheering on their sister. And they truly believed in her. Celine's progress was nothing short of astounding. Meanwhile, down on the battlefield, Dylan and Blue had already taken their positions. The Rota Gym Challenge is now beginning, with Blue from Pallet Town as the challenger. This is a 5v5 match. Gym leader Dylan will send out his Pokémon first and is prohibited from switching them. If all 5 of Dylan's Pokémon are defeated, the challenger wins. Let the battle begin. The referee announced the rules clearly before stepping off the field. The large scoreboard lit up, displaying the half-body portraits of Dylan and Blue. Dylan, this time, I will beat you. Blue cracked his knuckles, a cocky grin spreading across his face. Grass types? He'd beaten Erica's Celadon City gym with ease, sweeping her team with his Arcanine. And now he was a champion-level trainer. Beating a grass-type team? Child's play. It's not good to start boasting before the battle even begins, Blue. Dylan chuckled as he gracefully adjusted his collar and casually twirled a Pokeball in his hand. Blue, I'm sure you've faced many grass-type trainers by now. But do you truly understand grass types? Grass Pokemon possess vitality far beyond your imagination. Their resilience and strength, well, let me show you firsthand. My first Pokemon, here we go. Dylan tossed the Pokeball lightly. Whimsicott. Get ready for battle. With a lively trill, a Pokemon covered in fluffy cotton gently floated down onto Dylan's side of the battlefield. It was a Whimsicott. Having trained it for over half a month, Whimsicott's level was now quite high. A grass and fairy-type Whimsicott? Blue raised an eyebrow. Dylan's Pokemon were always so diverse, hailing from all sorts of regions. While Blue remembered studying Whimsicott in the Pokédex, this was the first time he'd actually encountered one in battle. Meanwhile, in the spectator area, a few seasoned challengers who had battled Dylan before were muttering to each other. This guy's in trouble. Ugh, that Whimsicott. It's the most infuriating thing ever. Can it just not exist? Hey, show some respect. Whimsicott is adorable. How could you hate it? Didn't you just say yesterday that it made you want to throw your Pokédex out the window? Well, I've changed my mind. I even asked my cousin's brother-in-law's nephew to get me a Cottonee. It's amazing. You're shameless. Whatever. I won't let you badmouth Whimsicott. The challengers were one step away from starting a brawl over Whimsicott's reputation. Of course, Blue was oblivious to their banter. Arcanine. It's your turn. Blue confidently threw his Pokeball, summoning his trusted partner, Arcanine. The majestic Arcanine landed gracefully in front of Blue, letting out a commanding growl. Its Intimidate ability activated, sending out an invisible wave of pressure that caused Whimsicott's physical attack to drop by one stage. Of course, it's Arcanine, Dylan noted, unfazed. As the challenger, you have the first move, he offered graciously, gesturing for Blue to go ahead. Then don't mind if I do. Blue didn't hesitate. Arcanine, use Flamethrower. Fire beats grass. It was a basic rule of Pokemon battles. And while he wasn't familiar with Whimsicott's capabilities, starting with Flamethrower to probe its defenses was the safest option. Leech Seed, Dylan said with a calm smile. Ha! Blue frowned. Leech Seed? Wasn't Dylan going to dodge the flamethrower? Whimsicott let out a playful giggle, scattering tiny green seeds at high speed toward Arcanine. With its prankster ability, Whimsicott's status moves had priority, allowing the Leech Seed to land before Arcanine could unleash its attack. The seeds quickly burrowed into Arcanine's fur, and more sprouted on the ground beneath it, entangling its legs with rapidly growing vines. But Arcanine's flamethrower was already in motion, blazing toward Whimsicott. Boom! The flames engulfed Whimsicott, causing it to cry out in pain. Fire-type moves were super effective against grass types, and the damage was substantial. However, moments later, small green orbs of light emerged from Arcanine's body and floated toward Whimsicott. The Leech Seed had begun sapping its health to heal Whimsicott. Arcanine, use Flare Blitz! Blue commanded, clicking his tongue in annoyance. He needed to burn off those vines immediately. Encore, Dylan countered with a sly grin. What? Blue's eyes widened in realization. Whimsicott clapped its tiny hands, emitting a mysterious wave of energy. Arcanine froze for a moment before growling in frustration. It could no longer use Flare Blitz. Instead, it was forced to repeat Flamethrower. Flamethrower again. Burn those vines. Blue barked, trying to salvage the situation. Light Screen, Dylan said, his tone steady. Whimsicott conjured a semi-transparent barrier, significantly reducing the damage from special moves. As Arcanine burned away the vines with its flamethrower, a small amount of health was sapped by the persistent Leech Seed, flowing back to Whimsicott. Flamethrower isn't enough to stop me. Whimsicott, cotton guard, Dylan commanded. Whimsicott's fluffy cotton expanded, glowing faintly as its physical defense was greatly increased. Blue's face darkened. This wasn't going according to plan at all. Despite his efforts, Arcanine's health was being steadily drained, while Whimsicott had fortified itself into an impenetrable wall. He couldn't believe it. Was this really just a grass type? Looking at the smug little Whimsicott swaying playfully on the battlefield, Blue clenched his fists in frustration. What even is this thing? Chapter 203, Why is this so hard? Blue's expression shifted constantly as he debated whether or not to switch out Arcanine. But he just couldn't swallow his frustration. He had the type advantage, yet somehow that cursed cotton ball was making him look like a fool. Grassy terrain, Dylan calmly commanded. Whimsicott let out a clear, cheerful cry, spreading its tiny arms as a green light radiated across the battlefield. In the blink of an eye, fresh, tender green shoots sprouted from the ground, and a faint glow flowed into both Whimsicott and Arcanine's bodies. Grassy terrain, while active, Pokémon on the ground periodically recover HP. Grass-type moves are boosted in power, and the damage from Earthquake, Bulldoze, and Magnitude is reduced. Arcanine, return. Seeing this, Blue didn't hesitate anymore. He swiftly recalled his Arcanine. If he didn't take Whimsicott out quickly, its condition would only improve. That would be unacceptable. This thing can fly. Nidoqueen won't be able to hit it properly, Blue muttered, narrowing his eyes as he strategized. Whimsicott's grass/fairy typing made it quad-weak to poison. Blue's Nidoqueen would have been an ideal counter. But Whimsicott's floating mobility, combined with its prankster ability giving priority to status moves, made it infuriating to deal with. Blue had to admit this little troublemaker was far more annoying than he had anticipated. Pidgeot. Blue decisively tossed out another Pokeball, sending out his ace flying type. With a sharp, commanding cry, Pidgeot soared into the battlefield, its keen eyes locking onto Whimsicott. Pidgeot, use Hurricane. Blue didn't waste time, immediately ordering an all-out assault. Whimsicott's light screen still had a bit of time left. Blue really wanted to use Defog to remove it. But if he used Defog and then Whimsicott followed up with Encore, it would be game over. Moonblast, Dylan countered with a soft smile. Behind Whimsicott, a glowing moonlit projection rose, its light coalescing into a shimmering pink energy ball. At the same time, Pidgeot flapped its wings with immense force, creating a massive whirlwind that surged forward. The Fairy-type Moonblast and the Flying-type Hurricane collided midair in a fierce clash, sending shockwaves rippling outward. Boom! The two moves exploded upon impact, releasing a strong gust of wind that buffeted the battlefield. "This thing's special attack isn't bad either," Blue muttered, narrowing his eyes. Though Pidgeot's Hurricane slightly overpowered Moonblast, it hadn't completely overwhelmed it. That alone was enough to show Whimsicott had decent special attack. It was becoming clear that long-range attacks wouldn't easily bring down Whimsicott. Fortunately, his Pidgeot was a versatile attacker. The green glow of grassy terrain pulsed again, restoring Whimsicott's HP and gradually healing its wounds. "Pidgeot, close in. Use Brave Bird," Blue commanded without hesitation. Pidgeot let out a sharp screech as red flames resembling a bird's silhouette began to envelop its body. Within moments, the fiery figure solidified as Pidgeot dove toward Whimsicott with incredible speed and force. "Whimsicott, dodge it," Dylan responded, raising an eyebrow. Whimsicott floated upward in an attempt to avoid the fiery charge. However, Pidgeot was far faster and wasn't about to let it escape. Whimsicott ascended just enough to dodge the initial impact, but Pidgeot quickly banked midair and looped around for another strike. The half-transparent light screen around Whimsicott finally shattered, its effects coming to an end. "Protect!" A shimmering barrier of light materialized in front of Whimsicott just in time to intercept Pidgeot's Brave Bird. Boom! Pidgeot slammed into the protective barrier with immense force, the impact reverberating across the battlefield. Despite its strength, Brave Bird couldn't break through the protect. Exhausted, Pidgeot immediately retreated to recover. "Giga Impact!" "Hurricane!" Blue and Dylan shouted their commands at nearly the same time. Pidgeot spread its wings to summon another massive whirlwind, but Whimsicott, enveloped in a glowing white aura, moved faster. With reckless abandon, Whimsicott launched itself headfirst into Pidgeot like a battering ram. Giga Impact, a high-risk, high-reward normal-type move akin to sharing pain, leaving both user and target severely damaged. Blue's face contorted with frustration. Whimsicott's Giga Impact was absolutely maddening. Pidgeot cried out in pain as the energy from Giga Impact wreaked havoc on its body. The attack was devastating. Meanwhile, Whimsicott staggered back, visibly battered but still standing thanks to the passive healing from grassy terrain. "Pidgeot! Don't give up! Use Hurricane again!" Although Pidgeot was heavily wounded, Blue shouted encouragement, urging it to keep fighting. Pidgeot gritted its beak and flapped its wings, mustering the strength for another hurricane. "Light screen," Dylan commanded calmly. Whimsicott's defenses reappeared as a faintly glowing barrier materialized in front of it, reducing the effectiveness of special attacks. But Pidgeot's Hurricane surged forward, closing in fast. Could Whimsicott pull it off in time? Everyone in the audience leaned forward, holding their breath. Boom! The Hurricane hit Whimsicott head-on, slamming it into the ground with incredible force. Dust and debris filled the air. Did it manage to set up light screen? Did anyone see? I don't know. I think it finished the move? If the light screen is up, I doubt Hurricane was enough to take it down. If Whimsicott survives this, Blue's gonna be in a world of hurt. His Arcanine's already low, and Pidgeot's practically spent. He's already in a bad spot. Even if Whimsicott's down, it's taken two of his main Pokémon out of the game. The spectators exchanged murmurs, many recalling their own traumatic experiences with Whimsicott. As the dust finally settled, Whimsicott lay sprawled on the ground, swirls in its eyes indicating it had fainted. Seeing this, Blue exhaled a long breath of relief. Whimsicott is unable to battle. Pidgeot wins, the referee announced. Impressive work, Blue. You managed to defeat my Whimsicott, Dylan remarked as he recalled his fainted Pokémon, a small smile on his face. Despite Whimsicott's defeat, Dylan was pleased with its performance. After all, it had left both Arcanine and Pidgeot in tatters. Now, it was just a matter of cleaning up the rest of the match. TCH. Don't get cocky, Dylan. I told you, I came here today to beat you. Blue's confidence remained as strong as ever, despite the situation. Sure, he wasn't in an advantageous position, but so what? He'd been the first to defeat Whimsicott. Very well, then. Let's see how you handle this. Your second opponent awaits, Blue. Dylan casually tossed another pokeball. Ferrothorn, take the stage. With a low, metallic growl, Ferrothorn emerged onto the field. Its spiky, metallic body glinted menacingly under the stadium lights, three vine-like appendages swinging ominously. Ferrothorn, huh? Grass and steel. Blue frowned. Ferrothorn's typing left it weak only to fighting in fire. Unfortunately, Arcanine was in no shape to deal with it. Let's see how you handle this, Dylan. Blue called out, trying to mask his growing unease. But deep down, he was screaming internally. Why are Dylan's grass types so ridiculous? Why is this so hard? Blue's frustration was written all over his face, and ironically, that only made Dylan's smile grow wider. Chapter 204, Shut Up. That guy must be tearing his hair out now, Celine quipped with a mischievous grin. No surprise there. Ferrothorn is a nightmare to deal with. If he wants to beat Dylan's Ferrothorn, fire types are his best bet, but it looks like he only brought an Arcanine. And even if he has Pokemon that know fire type moves, Stealth Rock is still in play, Lily added, analyzing the situation. Ferrothorn's resistances were outstanding, even using a fighting type Pokemon wasn't a surefire solution. Dylan's grass team is so different from Erica's, Lily noted, recalling Erica from Celadon City Gym. Erica had once visited Rota Gym for a challenge, but her grass style and Dylan's couldn't be more different. On the field. Blastoise. After some hesitation, Blue threw out his Blastoise's Pokeball. Rapid spin. With a flash of light, the moment Blastoise appeared, it immediately began spinning. But. Boom! A hidden Stealth Rock activated, blasting Blastoise back a few steps. Thankfully, as a water type, Blastoise could handle it. If it had been his weakened Arcanine, that single blow might have knocked it out cold. The next moment, Blastoise retracted its limbs and head into its shell, spinning rapidly to clear the Stealth Rocks from the field. Substitute, Dylan calmly ordered. Ferrothorn glowed with a soft white light as it created a decoy of itself, the real body disappearing behind it. A substitute, created by sacrificing some of its HP to form a replica. Damn it! Blue muttered under his breath, scowling at the move. Using substitute on top of everything else? Dylan really wasn't leaving any room for him to breathe. With the Stealth Rocks now cleared, Blue immediately recalled Blastoise. Nidoking. Blue tossed out another Pokeball, summoning Nidoking to the field with a powerful roar. So, it knows fire-type moves, Dylan mused, raising an eyebrow. It was expected. Nidoking was a versatile Pokemon with a wide move pool, capable of learning attacks to cover all kinds of weaknesses. Nidoking, Fire Punch. Blue didn't hesitate, commanding Nidoking to charge. Nidoking roared as it barreled toward Ferrothorn, its fist igniting with blazing flames. Leech Seed, Dylan said, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. Ferrothorn's substitute retreated backward as the real Ferrothorn emerged, tossing a flurry of green seeds toward the charging Nidoking. With its fierce, menacing visage, Nidoking swung its flaming fist, burning away several of the leech seeds before smashing directly into Ferrothorn's substitute. Boom! Flames erupted, shattering the substitute entirely and revealing Ferrothorn's true form. But as Nidoking struck, Ferrothorn's Iron Barb's ability activated, extending sharp spikes from its body that cut into Nidoking. Nidoking growled in pain. The damage from Iron Barbs wasn't insignificant. Meanwhile, the remaining leech seeds landed on Nidoking and the ground beneath it. The seeds quickly sprouted, with vines coiling around Nidoking's legs and body. Tiny green lights floated from Nidoking's body to Ferrothorn, healing its HP leech seed in full effect. Nidoking, burn them with Fire Punch. Blue commanded. Spikes, Dylan countered, seizing the opportunity. Ferrothorn withdrew, scattering glowing caltrops across the battlefield. Spikes, a ground-type hazard move that would damage grounded Pokémon upon entry. Nidoking, meanwhile, waved its flaming fists furiously, burning away the vines and plants entangling its body. But Blue wasn't celebrating yet. "Dylan!" Blue shouted through gritted teeth, his frustration evident. With a few stray leech seeds still sapping Nidoking's energy, and spikes now covering the battlefield, Blue felt cornered. Moving Nidoking even slightly risked it stepping on spikes and taking more damage. Theoretically, he could switch Nidoking out and send Blastoise back in to clear the spikes with Rapid Spin. But then what? Blastoise wasn't an ideal matchup against Ferrothorn, given its typing disadvantage. And swapping Blastoise out for Nidoking again would just be a waste of time and energy, not to mention humiliating. Blue's pride simply wouldn't allow it. As much as he hated to admit it, doing so would make him look desperate, like he had no clue what he was doing. "Nidoking, Flamethrower!" Blue shouted, shaking off his hesitation. Nidoking opened its mouth, gathering a fiery red glow before unleashing a stream of flames toward Ferrothorn. Shadow Claw. The vines atop Ferrothorn's head shimmered with a ghostly aura as it used Shadow Claw. The spectral claws slashed through the incoming flamethrower, dispersing it mid-air. Ferrothorn's physical attack stats weren't lacking. As the flames dissipated, Blue clenched his fists. His Nidoking's flamethrower wasn't strong enough, it couldn't overpower Ferrothorn's defenses. "It's no use," Blue muttered, his brow furrowing deeper. Power Whip, Dylan finally shifted gears to offense. Ferrothorn advanced on Nidoking, its vines combining to form a massive, whip-like appendage that sliced through the air with incredible force. Nidoking, counter with Fire Punch. Nidoking roared as it raised its flaming fists to meet the incoming Power Whip. Smash! The whip slammed down, colliding with Nidoking's fiery punch. The impact was so strong that Nidoking's feet sank into the ground. Though it successfully blocked the attack, it was clear that the Power Whip carried immense weight. "Leech Seed," Dylan said smoothly, wasting no time. Ferrothorn's vines moved again, scattering more seeds that latched onto Nidoking and the surrounding ground. The seeds sprouted quickly, wrapping around Nidoking's body and draining its energy yet again. Tiny green lights floated to Ferrothorn, restoring its HP. Nidoking, on the other hand, looked visibly strained. The accumulated damage and sapping effect of Leech Seed were taking a toll. "This is unbearable," muttered one of the spectators, a woman with short hair. "Nidoking's getting completely played by Ferrothorn. Dylan's command timing is too precise, he's not leaving any openings," commented a birdkeeper nearby. "Even if I were in Blue's shoes, I'd probably refuse to switch out Nidoking just out of sheer pride," the birdkeeper added, shaking his head. "But honestly, that's the smart move here. If he keeps Nidoking in, it's just a matter of time before he loses." "Flamethrower!" Blue barked, clenching his teeth. Nidoking tried once again to burn away the leech seeds entangling it. "Euroball," Dylan commanded with a light chuckle. Ferrothorn began to spin, its metallic body gleaming as it turned into a massive, spiked-wheel Euroball in full force. "Nidoking, look out!" Blue shouted, his voice filled with urgency. Just as Nidoking finished burning off the vines, Ferrothorn crashed into it with incredible speed. Bam! The impact sent Nidoking flying, its body slamming into the ground with a heavy thud. Unfortunately, the ground was still littered with spikes. Upon landing, Nidoking cried out again as the sharp caltrops dug into its body. Blue's face darkened. Things were spiraling out of control. "Power Whip," Dylan ordered, unwilling to let up. Ferrothorn's massive vine whipped toward the struggling Nidoking. "Protect!" Blue shouted, desperation creeping into his tone. Nidoking tried to form a protective barrier, but it was too slow. Smash! The vine slammed into Nidoking, sending it skidding across the battlefield. Nidoking is unable to battle. Ferrothorn wins, declared the referee. Blue's expression turned grim. In just a few minutes, the tables had completely turned. Arcanine was barely hanging on. Pidgeot and Nidoking were both down. Blastoise was still disadvantaged against Ferrothorn. And he only had one Pokémon left. Blue, if you don't come up with a plan soon, you won't make it past my Ferrothorn, Dylan advised, his tone friendly but laced with challenge. Blue's fists tightened. Dylan wasn't wrong, but as long as he had one Pokemon left, Blue wasn't ready to admit defeat. This isn't over, Dylan. I still have my ace up my sleeve. Oh? Dylan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Blastoise, rapid spin. Blue sent Blastoise out again, ordering it to clear the spikes from the field. Substitute, Dylan instructed, remaining calm. Ferrothorn created another decoy, hiding its real body. For Ferrothorn, Substitute was an excellent way to mitigate its 4x weakness to Fire-type moves. Now, Dylan, let me show you the ultimate weapon I found on him in silver. Blue recalled Blastoise and held up a new Pokeball, his confidence surging. I'm looking forward to it, Dylan said with a light chuckle, already guessing what was coming. This is where I turn things around. Blue declared, tossing out his ace. Go, Tyranitar. With a deafening roar, the massive green pseudo-legendary landed on the battlefield, its imposing presence impossible to ignore. You caught a Tyranitar on MT Silver? Impressive, Dylan said, genuinely admiring the Pokemon. Ha! Of course. Now get ready to see my Tyranitar's true power. Blue grinned, his confidence fully restored. But... Blue, you do realize Tyranitar is weak to grass, right? Dylan teased with a raised eyebrow. Shut up. Strength is what matters. I'll show you that type matchups don't mean a thing. Prepare to witness the raw power of Tyranitar. Chapter 205, Dylan. Blue was brimming with confidence. After all, this was Tyranitar, the Pokemon he'd worked so hard to catch and train. Through meticulous care and effort, Tyranitar had grown to be just as strong as his ace, Blastoise. In certain situations, it was even stronger. So what if it has a grass weakness? Blue thought smugly. It doesn't matter. My Tyranitar is invincible. Tyranitar, huh? Looks pretty strong, Celine commented, her curiosity piqued. She opened her Pokédex to check. Beep. Tyranitar, Rock/Dark type, the armor Pokemon. Ability, Sandstream. Moves, Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, Sandstorm, Stone Edge, Earthquake, Crunch, Fire Fang, Ice Fang. Pokédex entry, it possesses incredible strength enough to crush mountains and cause earthquakes with just a single hand. Wow, it knows a lot of moves. Looks like this Tyranitar's got solid power. Probably not easy to take down, right? Celine hesitated, glancing at the battlefield. After all, this was a pseudo-legendary Pokemon and one of Blue's top aces. That guy's got some serious talent, one of the older female spectators remarked, clearly impressed. But he's way too arrogant if he thinks Tyranitar can beat Dylan's grass team, a psychic-type trainer said, shrugging. He's underestimating Dylan. Exactly, the bird keeper agreed. You can't win against Dylan just by being strong. Trust me, we've all tried. As regulars at Rota Gym, they understood one thing very well: strength alone wasn't enough to earn the Rota badge. Dylan's strategies were simply too versatile and unpredictable. On the battlefield. Tyranitar. Blue called out, his voice full of authority. Tyranitar let out a thunderous roar as it stepped forward. Immediately, powerful winds stirred the arena, and a sandstorm began to rage. This was Sandstream, Tyranitar's ability, which summoned an intense sandstorm to blanket the battlefield. Tiny grains of sand flew through the air, stinging and reducing visibility. Oh, Tyranitar, Dylan murmured, his expression betraying a hint of nostalgia. Seeing Tyranitar reminded him of Alan's famous Tyranitar, particularly the time that its sandstorm was hilariously drowned out by Pikachu's massive surf attack in the anime. Of course, reality was different. Sandstorm weather here wasn't so easily disrupted. Dylan had conducted experiments in the past, and it turned out that using a powerful surf could indeed temporarily dampen a sandstorm. However, unless the entire sandstorm was cleared in one go, it would quickly return and dominate the battlefield again. Still, sandstorm weather was easier to counter than rain dance or sunny day. It was a minor comfort for Dylan, whose Ferrothorn didn't mind sandstorms in the slightest. The only downside? Man, all this sand flying everywhere, it's going to get in my eyes, Dylan thought, smirking to himself. Earthquake! Blue ordered. Tyranitar stomped the ground with its massive foot, triggering a devastating earthquake. Rumble! The entire battlefield shook violently, fissures snaking toward Ferrothorn. Dodge and use iron defense, Dylan commanded, his voice calm and composed. Ferrothorn's substitute leapt into the air, narrowly avoiding the tremors. The real Ferrothorn revealed itself behind the decoy, its body shimmering with a metallic sheen as it used iron defense to sharply boost its physical defense. Earthquake might seem powerful, but it was one of the easiest moves to dodge, especially if the opponent was prepared. And, as expected, Blue wasn't done yet. Close in and use flamethrower, he shouted. Tyranitar barreled forward, fire gathering in its maw as it prepared a flamethrower. The sandstorm howled, the coarse grains scraping against both Tyranitar and Ferrothorn. Neither Pokémon paid it any mind. Evade it, Dylan said lightly. Ferrothorn shifted sideways with deliberate slowness. Its speed was pitifully low, but it managed to avoid the flamethrower at the last possible second. Humph, dodged that one, Blue muttered, his lips curling into a smirk. But let's see you dodge this. Tyranitar, fire punch. Tyranitar lunged forward, one massive claw wreathed in blazing flames. There was no way Ferrothorn could dodge this, not with its snail-like speed. And Dylan wasn't using Protect. The fiery fist slammed into Ferrothorn's substitute, shattering it completely. Finally. Blue thought, grinning. This is it. But then. Body press, Dylan said with a serene smile. Blue's smug grin instantly froze, his face rapidly turning green. Wait, body press, he cried in alarm. Tyranitar didn't even have time to react. The real Ferrothorn surged forward, glowing white. It hurled itself directly into Tyranitar, leveraging all of its boosted physical defense to deliver a devastating blow. Body press, a fighting-type move that used the user's defense stat to calculate damage. And Tyranitar? It was 4 times weak to fighting. Boom! The impact was thunderous. Ferrothorn slammed into Tyranitar like a wrecking ball, forcing its massive frame to stumble backward. Tyranitar roared in agony as it was flung across the battlefield, crashing into the ground with a deafening thud. The audience collectively gasped. Holy crap! Ferrothorn's iron defense plus body press, can Tyranitar even survive that? The birdkeeper exclaimed. Classic Dylan, the psychic-type trainer muttered, shaking his head. Completely merciless. This is brutal. It's supposed to be a grass team, not a fighting team. Tyranitar lay on the ground, groaning in pain. Its once mighty presence was now pitifully diminished. Still hanging on, huh? Dylan said, genuinely impressed. As expected of Tyranitar. Blue, you really raised it well. Blue's face twisted in anger. Was Dylan mocking him? Or was that genuine praise? He couldn't tell, and it was driving him insane. At that moment, Tyranitar let out a weak but determined roar, slowly rising to its feet. Its body swayed, but its spirit refused to yield. Yes. That's my Tyranitar. Blue cheered, his confidence reignited. Dylan. Did you see that? We're not out yet. My Tyranitar's stronger than ever. Truly impressive, Dylan acknowledged, nodding. Come then, Blue. Show me your next move. You're going to regret this. Tyranitar, fire punch. Take it down. Tyranitar charged forward, flames blazing in its claw once again. Dylan's smile grew wider. Explosion. Blue's eyes widened in shock. E-explosion? Before Tyranitar's flaming fist could land, Ferrothorn glowed with an intense white light. Its entire body began radiating an overwhelming energy, growing brighter and brighter. At that moment, Ferrothorn was like a miniature sun, blindingly radiant. Dylan! Blue's anguished roar echoed across the battlefield. Boom! The explosion rocked the entire arena, a massive shockwave tearing through the sandstorm. When the dust finally settled, Tyranitar lay motionless on the ground, fainted. Ferrothorn, of course, was nowhere to be seen. It had sacrificed itself in the blast. Tyranitar is unable to battle. This match goes to Ferrothorn. Blue stood frozen, his expression a mix of disbelief and despair. You used explosion on my Tyranitar? Are you insane? Dylan tilted his head, looking genuinely puzzled. What's the problem? I thought I was being nice. Explosion gave Tyranitar a very dramatic exit. You should be thanking me. Thanking you? Blue's voice cracked. Dylan, you're the worst. Chapter 206? Boom! A deafening explosion erupted across the battlefield, as Ferrothorn's explosion engulfed everything in its vicinity. The blinding flash of the blast left both trainers and onlookers squinting in disbelief. Tyranitar, who was already hanging on by sheer willpower, was utterly unprepared for the overwhelming force. The destructive energy swallowed it whole, leaving no time to counter or dodge. Blue's face darkened considerably. He knew all too well how devastating explosion was. While it was a normal type move and thus resisted by Tyranitar's rock typing, it didn't matter. Not when the attack was that powerful. With Tyranitar already running on fumes, even a resisted hit was enough to seal its fate. As the dust began to settle, the battlefield revealed a massive crater. At its center, both Ferrothorn and Tyranitar lay motionless, fainted. Ferrothorn and Tyranitar are both unable to battle, the referee declared. Blue silently recalled Tyranitar, his expression a mixture of frustration and helplessness. He was down to his last two Pokemon, his severely weakened Arcanine and his Blastoise. And against Dylan's grass team, Blastoise didn't stand a chance. In the stands. Guess it's over, huh? Celine giggled. Her expression was light and carefree, fully enjoying the spectacle. Of course. Big Bro Dylan is invincible, she added, her voice brimming with pride. Asha nodded, her tone carrying the same confident energy. Yep, Arcanine and Blastoise won't be able to do anything here. On the battlefield. Impressive work, Blue. You've come a long way since our last battle, Dylan praised sincerely. In their previous encounter, Blue had only managed to take down one of Dylan's Pokemon. This time, he'd taken out two. However, it seems like today isn't your day to win just yet, Dylan added, his voice tinged with regret. Blue, of course, refused to let his pride waver. TCH, don't get too cocky, Dylan. This battle isn't over until it's over. There's still a chance for me to turn things around. Even when faced with near certain defeat, Blue's confidence refused to falter. His pride wouldn't allow him to admit defeat even if it was staring him in the face. Is that so? Dylan chuckled softly, finding Blue's stubbornness both amusing and admirable. In that case, I'll treat this more seriously. Your third opponent is ready to go, Blue, Dylan announced, tossing his next Pokeball. Rillaboom, let's show them what we've got. A large, muscular gorilla emerged from the light. Standing tall, it pulled a pair of wooden drumsticks and a tree stump drum from its back, pounding rhythmically as it prepared for battle. Beep. Pokédex entry. Rillaboom, Grass-type, the drummer Pokemon. Ability, Grassy Surge. Moves, Boom Burst, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, Knockoff, High Horsepower. Description: though calm and kind by nature, it strictly disciplines those who disturb its harmonious surroundings. Blue's expression grew serious. A pure grass type, huh? I won't underestimate it. If it's one of Dylan's main Pokemon, it must be strong. After some hesitation, Blue sent out his severely weakened Arcanine. The fire type stood ready, but it was clear from its unsteady stance that it was barely hanging on. Arcanine let out a low growl, activating its Intimidate ability to lower Rillaboom's attack stat. Intimidate is such an annoying ability, Dylan remarked casually, his tone tinged with mock frustration. Blue, however, had no patience for small talk. He was still fuming from Tyranitar's dramatic exit. Explosion? Seriously? Rillaboom! Dylan called out. Rillaboom roared, spreading its arms wide as a lush green aura surrounded it. The battlefield transformed in an instant as fresh green grass sprouted from the ground. Grassy Surge had activated, creating a grassy terrain that would benefit all grounded Pokémon. Small motes of green light floated up from the grass, entering both Rillaboom and Arcanine's bodies. The terrain's natural healing properties slightly restored their health. Blue, however, didn't feel reassured. If anything, it only reminded him of how much of a disadvantage he was at. Arcanine, Flamethrower! Blue barked, refusing to give up. Fake out, Dylan commanded smoothly. Rillaboom moved like a blur. Before Arcanine could launch its attack, Rillaboom dashed forward and slapped it sharply across the face. Smack! The attack left Arcanine dazed, forcing it to flinch and cancel its flamethrower. Grassy Glide, Dylan followed up, not missing a beat. Rillaboom glided forward with blinding speed, propelled by the energy of the grassy terrain. It delivered a powerful sliding kick straight to Arcanine's chest, sending it flying backward. Bam! Arcanine hit the ground with a heavy thud, skidding to a stop. It tried to stand, but its legs gave out beneath it. Arcanine is unable to battle. Rillaboom wins, the referee announced. Grassy Glide, boosted by terrain and priority, too fast and too strong, the psychic trainer exclaimed, shaking his head in awe. And don't forget Fake Out, it totally shut down Blue's flamethrower, the bird keeper added. Blue sent out his last Pokémon, Blastoise. Though it was in perfect condition, the pure water type didn't inspire much hope in its trainer, not against a grass type powerhouse like Rillaboom. The match was a foregone conclusion. Even though Blastoise put up a valiant fight, its Ice Beam was unable to overcome Rillaboom's relentless offense. In the end, Grassy Glide brought the battle to a decisive close. Blastoise is unable to battle. Rillaboom wins. Challenger Blue's team has been completely defeated. The match goes to gym leader Dylan. Blue stood silently for a moment, staring at his fainted Blastoise before recalling it. Though frustrated, he couldn't deny that Dylan was the stronger trainer. That was an excellent match, Blue, Dylan said, walking over with a smile. Rillaboom followed behind him, its powerful body bearing the faint marks of Blastoise's Ice Beam. Battling someone as skilled as you is always a pleasure, Dylan added. TCH, well, I'm not exactly thrilled, Blue muttered. Still, his frustration couldn't completely mask the glimmer of determination in his eyes. I'll admit it, Dylan. You're one hell of a trainer, he said grudgingly. But don't think this is the end. Next time, I'll beat you for sure. Dylan chuckled. I'll be waiting, Blue. You're welcome to challenge me anytime. Before Blue could leave, Dylan held out a small velvet box. Inside was the Grass Rota badge, its elegant green design catching the light. What's this supposed to mean? Blue asked, frowning. You've earned it, Dylan replied. You're a talented trainer, Blue, and I recognize your potential. This badge isn't a handout, it's the starting point of your journey to collect all my badges. Blue hesitated, his gaze shifting between the badge and Dylan. After a long moment, he snatched it from the box, his lips curling into a smirk. Well, since you insist. I'll take it. Not long after, Blue posted a photo to his social media account. In the photo, he and Dylan stood side by side, the Grass Rota badge prominently displayed between them. The caption read, "Got the Grass Rota badge. First step to proving I'm the best." Comments poured in almost immediately. Gary, you're so cool. Congrats. Wait, you beat Dylan? Amazing. A Rota badge? Those are crazy rare. Red also left a single comment. Question mark. Blue responded immediately. And thus, Blue's victorious spirit was reignited, ready to take on the next challenge. Chapter 207, I never want to encounter Dylan again, not in this lifetime. By the way, Blue, if you're interested, you can try challenging the Battle Frontier. Suddenly remembering that fat guy, Carsey, Dylan turned to Blue and said, Battle Frontier? Blue, who had been idly toying with the Rota badge, looked puzzled. He had never heard of such a thing before. What is the Battle Frontier? It's a challenge facility exclusively for elite trainers. The founder of the Battle Frontier approached me before, hoping I could recommend some strong trainers to participate. Dylan explained with a smile. Trainers who successfully conquer the battle facilities can earn the symbol of the Frontier Brain. Oh? How strong are these Frontier Brains? Blue's interest was piqued. The earlier ones shouldn't pose much of a challenge for you. TCH, then there's no point. Blue clicked his tongue. He had no interest in something with no challenge. He'd rather spend his time training or planning his next challenge against the Rota Gym. But the final challenge, the Pyramid King, Brandon, I think he'd be a real challenge for you. He's a champion-level trainer who has captured the legendary Reggie Trio. Dylan smiled. He figured that Brandon would also enjoy facing a talented and powerful young challenger like Blue. A win-win situation. Brandon from Hoenn? Blue raised an eyebrow. He had heard of Brandon before. After all, the man was one of the few trainers in the world who had captured legendary Pokémon. That's right. Now that sounds interesting. I, the Great Blue, will give it a shot. Blue grinned. He might not be able to defeat Dylan yet, but Brandon? So what if he was a champion with legendary Pokémon? Just an old relic of the past, time to gain some experience. I'll send you Mr. Carsey's contact info. You can reach out to him, and he'll tell you where to start the challenge. Dylan forwarded Carsey's number to Blue. After all, he had promised Carsey to introduce some elite trainers. Blue nodded. After chatting a bit more, he turned and left. His gym challenge was over. Now he needed to head to the Pokémon Center to heal his team before resuming training. To become the strongest trainer, talent alone wasn't enough. Rigorous training was just as essential. Ah, Dylan, just you wait. Next time, I will defeat you and claim my second badge. Blue left with an exhilarated laugh. Even as he stepped out the door, Dylan could still hear his loud, confident voice. Dylan could already imagine the smug look on Blue's face. So much for acting uninterested. But Dylan was satisfied. His badge was becoming more prestigious. Just look at how excited Blue was after winning the Rota badge. Another one with the Rota badge. How many does that make now? After the battle, a birdkeeper smacked his lips in envy. A badge worth over 10 million, more than just a prize, it was a symbol of honor. Based on online information, I think he's the fourth one? A woman pondered for a moment, recalling the data gathered online. Leader Erica got one, someone from Unova got one, another from Paldea, and now this guy. So far, Kanto is still in the lead. She counted them off one by one. Wait, you're making this into a regional competition now? A psychic-type specialist was speechless at her logic. Of course. Dylan is a gym leader from Kanto. If more trainers from other regions than our own are earning his badge, isn't that embarrassing? The woman rolled her eyes. All right. The psychic shrugged. But this Blue guy, he does seem incredibly strong. Probably the strongest among the four who have earned the badge so far, right? The birdkeeper stroked his chin. Feels like the Indigo League this year is going to be rough. Are all the new trainers this terrifying? He sighed helplessly. These monster-level newcomers were truly frightening. Not necessarily. I watched the replay of that battle. That girl, Nimona, from Paldea, her strength is definitely on par with Blue. And besides, the psychic shot the birdkeeper a strange look before glancing over at Celine. Did you forget about that demon girl? She's still just an apprentice, she's not even a fully licensed trainer yet. The psychic's voice was filled with bitterness. He was a skilled psychic-type specialist, but the beating he had received from Celine that day nearly brought him to tears. The birdkeeper fell silent. Well, she is Dylan's apprentice. You shouldn't expect anything less. Learn to accept it. The woman consoled them. When that girl sets off on her journey next year, Kanto is going to be in chaos. The psychic was certain of it. That girl was downright terrifying. Good luck to all the other psychic-type trainers. I remember that blonde girl is also Dylan's apprentice, right? She looks so sweet and well-mannered. Do you think Dylan will have her help evaluate challengers in the future too? The woman curiously glanced at Yellow. She seemed harmless. Surely, she wouldn't be as ruthless as Celine, right? Probably. But such a cute and delicate girl wouldn't go that hard. The bird keeper gave his personal opinion. A few days ago, when they had come to challenge the gym, they had spoken briefly with the new Rota gym apprentice. She was so innocent and cheerful, it was healing just to talk to her. Completely opposite of that other apprentice who spoke like a street thug. Dylan glanced at the three of them, gave a polite nod, and headed towards the back courtyard. The gym was a semi-public space, allowing challengers to watch battles. These three were regulars, and they were quite familiar with his younger apprentices. In the courtyard, Dylan leaned against a tree and made a video call. "Hello?" The call connected quickly, and a beautiful face appeared on the screen. She waved at Dylan with a playful smile. "Hey Dylan, did you miss me?" "Not really. Did you check the Pokédex data I just sent you?" Dylan smiled at Leah. She was practically a part-time employee at Rota Gym, occasionally acting as a referee for a few days before heading off on another adventure. I just finished something. Let me take a look." Leah blinked and opened the message, scanning through the Pokémon data Dylan had sent. "Ha! Dylan, these Paradox Pokémon are. I caught them in Paldea. They're completely unavailable to the public, extremely rare. I managed to capture a few. I sent the data to Red too. He picked Roaring Moon. Take a look and see which one you like." Previously, Red and Leah had given Dylan full credit for their efforts against Team Rocket. Dylan had never forgotten that. Initially, he had planned to find them some rare and powerful Pokémon, but he realized that Paradox Pokémon and Ultra Beasts were even better choices. Since he had caught several Paradox Pokémon in Paldea, it only made sense to give them to worthy trainers. After much persuasion, Red finally picked Roaring Moon, a Dragon/Dark type, filling a gap in his team. I like Screamtail and Flutter Mane. Which one do you think suits me better?" Leah hesitated, unable to decide between the two. "Screamtail is more defensive, while Flutter Mane is a powerhouse attacker. I think Flutter Mane suits you better." Dylan considered before answering. "Then I'll go with Flutter Mane." Thanks, Dylan." Leah beamed, her crescent moon smile absolutely adorable. Meanwhile, in a hidden Team Rocket base. "Achoo!" Proton sneezed suddenly, rubbing his nose with a frown. "Achoo! Damn, did I catch a cold last night?" He sneezed again, muttering. "What's up with you?" "LT." Surge gave him a weird look. "I don't know, man. Feels like I'm cursed or something. Anyway, our operation in Saffron City is still a secret, right? I really don't want to run into that freak, Dylan, again. Never, ever." Chapter 208, Rota Gym is closed today. Friday arrived in the bustling city of Saffron, a familiar place. Dylan returned, bringing along his dear little sister, Lily. "Hey Dylan, Lily!" A voice called out cheerfully. Wearing a black dress that accentuated her curves, Leah approached with a bright smile. "Leah! It's been so long." Lily greeted happily. She really liked Leah's lively and outgoing personality. "It's only been a little over half a month, not that long," Leah said with a playful smile. "I heard you guys went to Paldea." "Dylan, you're so mean, you went traveling right after I left. That really hurts my feelings." She shot a pointed look at Dylan. Just before Dylan, Lily, and Eileen had gone to Paldea, Leah had only just left the gym. "It was a last-minute decision, I swear," Dylan raised his hands in innocence. "I want to visit other regions too, you know." Leah still looked at him with mock resentment, like an abandoned wife. All right. In a while, I'm planning to take Lily to Alola. Want to come? Dylan sighed helplessly. Leah wasn't just hinting, she was outright telling him she wanted to be invited. Lily giggled behind her hand. Their decision to visit Alola had been made after some discussion. Although Lily had nearly pushed her unforgettable Alola memories to the back of her mind, Dylan hadn't forgotten. Now that he thought about it, she had originally promised to stay in Kanto for half a month to a month before returning to Alola. But somehow, 2 months had passed already. It couldn't be helped, Lily found life at Rhoda Gym, where her brother was, to be too enjoyable. Really? Leah's eyes sparkled. The Alola region was a world-famous vacation paradise. Of course. We haven't decided on the exact date yet, but if you want to come along, we'll all go together. Dylan smiled. Please take me with you, boss. Leah said seriously, straightening up. This was practically a company-paid vacation. After all, she was technically a part-time employee at Rhoda Gym. All right. Here, this is Flutter Mane's Pokeball. Dylan nodded and handed over an Ultra Ball. Inside was the Paradox Pokemon, Flutter Mane. Flutter Mane, huh? Leah turned the ball in her hands, intrigued. She had never even heard of Paradox Pokemon before. Go ahead and capture it properly. You need to earn its trust as its new trainer. Dylan reminded her. But be careful, this Flutter Mane is quite strong and has a rather aggressive personality. No worries. I may not be as strong as you or Red, but I'm pretty strong too, you know? Leah beamed. She usually kept a low profile, but that didn't mean she was weak. She was, after all, an Elite 4-level trainer. Come out, Flutter Mane. Leah tossed the Ultra Ball, and with a flash of white light, a Pokemon resembling Misdreavus yet much larger and more menacing appeared before them. Flutter Mane let out an ear-piercing screech, its long body hair bristling. Its blood-red eyes glowed, and its golden pupils gleamed with a chilling, bestial intensity. Leah examined it with great curiosity. This thing was huge, almost as tall as she was. Compared to this, Misdreavus really was just a tiny little cutie. Dylan, are you sure this isn't an alternate evolution of Misdreavus? It looks way too similar. Leah pulled out her Pokédex, only to find that no data was available. It's not. Flutter Mane is a Paradox Pokemon that resembles what Misdreavus might have looked like in ancient times. Though, this hasn't been officially confirmed yet. Leah found it hard to understand. An ancient version of Misdreavus? Then how did Flutter Mane even appear in the modern era? You won't find its data in a regular Pokédex. Use my Rotom Dex. Dylan activated his Rotom Pokédex. Beep. Flutter Mane, Ghost/Fairy type, Paradox Pokemon. Ability, Photosynthesis. Moves, Power Gem, Mystical Fire, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Wish, Look, Psybeam. Description: it shares only a few traits with the spectral pterosaur reported in supernatural magazines. Leah had never heard of this photosynthesis ability before. Her curiosity deepened. She released her own Pokemon, a strong Blastoise, to prepare for battle. Flutter Mane has excellent special attack, special defense, and speed. Keep that in mind, Dylan advised with a smile. Got it. Watch me. Leah was eager to showcase her skills to Dylan. Then. Wait, why is it this strong? Leah was stunned. Her Blastoise was nearly knocked out. Flutter Mane's speed and insane special attack made it a nightmare to fight. She barely managed to turn the battle around by staying calm and waiting for the right opportunity to strike. In the end, she defeated Flutter Mane and officially captured it. Paradox Pokemon are extremely powerful, and their levels are much higher than typical wild Pokemon. Dylan chuckled. Paradox Pokemon varied in strength, but even the weaker ones were at least elite level. The strongest could rival champion-tier Pokemon. That was why it was dangerous to let the time machine run indefinitely or allow Paradox Pokemon to leave Area 0 in Paldea. These Pokemon were far more aggressive and wild than normal species, and their power could completely disrupt the balance of any ecosystem they entered.
I see now.
Leah's eyes sparkled as she played with the Ultra Ball in her hand.
Thanks, Dylan. I love this one. Leah happily stored Flutter Mane's Pokeball. Alright, let's go. You guys haven't eaten yet, right? Let me treat you.
Leah grinned, motioning for Dylan and Lily to follow her into Saffron City. They arrived at a well-known restaurant and booked a private room.
Dylan, I feel like Team Rocket is planning something big. Oh? What makes you think that?
Their movements have been strange lately. Champion Lance has been relentlessly hunting them down, and they've been hiding like scared rats. Leah rested her chin on her hand, her big eyes twinkling thoughtfully. But lately, they've started moving again toward Saffron City.
Meanwhile, in a hidden underground meeting room in Saffron City. Boom!
Suddenly, the entire room trembled violently.
Dust and debris fell from the ceiling. What's happening?
Archer, standing at the head of the table, grabbed his communicator.
Bad news, Archer. Someone is breaking into the base. Archer's heart sank. A wave of unease washed over him. No way, could it be him?
The other executives, including Karen, Proton, and Petrol, looked grim. I think we might have a traitor among us, Karen muttered, her sharp eyes flicking toward Proton.
It's just a coincidence. Proton protested. Then. Boom! Another explosion.
A voice rang out from above.
Good evening, gentlemen. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. It was Dylan. Chapter 209, How Dare You Suspect Me?
A wild, piercing shriek cut through the air as a moonblast streaked forward.
Boom! The deafening explosion sent an Arbok and a Victory Bell flying backward, crashing into the walls.
The shockwave was so intense that two rocket grunts standing behind them were also blasted off their feet, slamming onto the ground with twisted expressions of pain. Especially the one on the left, his pants had torn from the impact, leaving his backside a bloody mess.
Damn it! This is an illegal attack on civilians. Do you even care about the law? The injured grunt glared at the three figures approaching them, immediately playing the victim. I'm calling the police.
Not only did you break into our company, but you also attacked innocent people.
Just because you're strong, does that mean you can do whatever you want? Officer Jenny will definitely bring you to justice.
Another grunt quickly chimed in, his voice full of righteous anger.
Oh. Dylan took slow, deliberate steps forward.
Beside him, Roaring Moon exuded a fierce aura, while Flutter Mane floated eerily behind him, its blood-red eyes staring unnervingly at the two men. Sorry to break it to you, but yes, being strong does mean I can do whatever I want.
Go ahead and call the police. Dylan crouched down slightly, flashing a warm, almost gentle smile as his gaze shifted to the grunt's injured backside. You!
The rocket grunt was stunned.
Even as a criminal, he had never seen someone so brazen. That fall looked pretty rough. You'll probably need to stay in the hospital for a few days. But really, why did you have to get in my way? Dylan sighed, shaking his head in mock disappointment.
He had been very polite when he first entered, he had even asked them nicely. But these two had immediately pulled out their Pokémon to fight him.
Dylan didn't want to bully the gatekeepers, but since they insisted on getting in his way, he had no choice. The injured grunt's face turned pale with rage. I'm a Rocket member. Was I supposed to just let you walk in?
But he didn't dare say it out loud. This black-clad young man was ridiculously strong, and he definitely wasn't a league official.
You, help him up.
The floor's dirty. Use some water to rinse his wound and apply some medicine, wouldn't want it to get infected, Dylan said to the other grunt, his voice calm and composed.
Oh, okay.
The chubby rocket grunt nodded instinctively and quickly helped his injured comrade up. After some basic first aid, both men looked warily at Dylan. All right, there are police officers waiting outside.
Go turn yourselves in.
Hand over your Pokeballs voluntarily, it'll help reduce your sentence.
Got it? Oh, okay. And before you leave, tell me, where are the rocket executives? Uh, um. HM? Think carefully before you answer.
My Roaring Moon and Flutter Mane have terrible tempers.
Seeing Dylan's not-so-friendly smile.
And feeling the menacing presence of his two Pokemon, the grunt gulped and took a step back.
You,
Executive Archer and the others are in the basement.
Good. I appreciate people with common sense.
If you're willing to turn over a new leaf, there's still a chance for you to live a proper life. You really shouldn't stay with Team Rocket.
How much do they even pay you? Is it worth risking your life? The risks are way too high.
Dylan spoke with the sincerity of a concerned older brother, then waved them off toward the exit.
We got it, bro.
We'll work hard and turn our lives around.
Glancing nervously at Roaring Moon, whose jaws were dripping with saliva, the two rocket grunts turned pale and sprinted for the door.
Even the injured one was suddenly able to run at full speed, despite his limp.
Dylan, you really are such a good person. Lily looked at her brother with admiration.
TCH, you scared those guys half to death, Leah said with amusement.
Classic Dylan. Let's go.
Our old friends are waiting, Dylan chuckled, glancing at Leah and Lily before heading for the basement. As they descended, meanwhile, chaos had already broken out below.
I can't teleport. Will released his Zatu to attempt an escape only for his face to darken when the move failed. Something was wrong.
Through the security monitors, they had already seen Dylan. Despite the high concentration of rocket executives in the room, Archer and the others weren't foolish enough to confront him directly. Even if they all attacked together, they still might not be able to take him down. So their plan was simple: have Sabrina and Will, both skilled in psychic abilities, teleport everyone to safety. But their escape route was blocked. Someone had placed anti-teleportation jammers around the building.
Proton, you jinxed us. You really summoned Dylan here. Lieutenant Surge was losing it.
He didn't even call Proton brother this time.
Last time, he had barely escaped thanks to Giovanni. Was he about to get captured by Dylan again? Wait, hold on. This isn't my fault.
Proton shouted, feeling more wrong than ever.
I was just talking. There's obviously a traitor in Team Rocket who leaked our plans.
He quickly tried to defend himself only to realize that everyone was staring at him.
Why are you all looking at me? You think I'm the traitor? Proton was in shock. I've bled for Team Rocket. I'm loyal to the boss. I have a blood feud with Dylan. He's captured me twice. I consider you all my brothers.
Archer, say something.
Proton looked at Archer, feeling completely betrayed. I believe you. But the real issue is, what do we do now?
Archer did trust Proton. After all, he wasn't a good enough actor to fake his emotions.
Sabrina, Karen? I can't blow my cover. I'm leaving.
Sabrina said flatly. Lieutenant Surge was already exposed, but she and Karen weren't. If they could escape, they could still operate undercover. Later, Karen said simply.
And bolted faster than Sabrina. TCH, I'm out too. This basement has plenty of exits, good luck to the rest of you. Ariana grabbed Will and left immediately. By the time Archer came to his senses, the once crowded meeting room was practically empty. Wait, not entirely empty.
One more person had disappeared. One of the 4 generals, Petrol, was also gone.
When the hell did he leave? Are you kidding me? They all ran like cowards. Archer's face darkened.
His so-called comrades clearly believed in every man for himself.
Forget it, we need to get out of here too.
Gritting his teeth, Archer turned to Proton and the still-stunned Lieutenant Surge.
Time for a game of hide-and-seek. Dylan stood at a 3-way intersection in the underground complex, rubbing his chin. Which path should he take? Lily, which way do you think we should go? Left?
Lily blinked her big, watery eyes and thought for a moment before pointing left. No real reason, just a gut feeling.
All right. Flutter Mane, Roaring Moon, guard the exit.
If anyone tries to leave, take them down.
Dylan gave the command.
You guys take care of things here.
I'll reward you when we get back. With that, Dylan released Ogerpon, playfully pinching its round cheeks. Ogerpon let out a hoarse but oddly pleasant cry.
Behind Leah and Lily, Mioscarada glanced at Ogerpon before rolling its eyes. The group headed down the left path.
A few minutes later. Well. Looks like my luck is pretty good. Isn't this our old acquaintances? Dylan smiled as he spotted Will. Will's face turned pale. He was on his own. Chapter 210, Absolutely Despicable. Wait, was that Will just now?
As he hurried down the corridor, Proton suddenly froze mid-step. He could have sworn he just heard Will's voice. Was he yelling
Karen's name? I heard it too. Looks like they ran into Dylan, Lieutenant Surge said gravely.
In that case, there's no point in hiding anymore.
Dylan is already inside.
We should use this chance to head for the exit. Archer spoke in a serious tone. As much as he hated to admit it, the two new executives were beyond saving right now.
If an opportunity arose in the future, they could think about rescuing them then. Agreed.
Proton and Lieutenant Surge immediately nodded, the three of them dashing toward the exit. At least we have a lot of executives present this time. That lowers our chances of running into Dylan. Once we escape safely, I'll make sure to visit them often. Proton exhaled, trying to lift the heavy mood. Proton, for the love of Arceus, please stop jinxing us, Archer groaned, his temple twitching. By now, he was convinced that Proton was cursed every time he opened his mouth, disaster struck.
Archer. We're companions, aren't we? How could you say that? Proton looked deeply hurt.
Jokes aside, Archer was one of his closest allies, they had been through hell together.
It's not that I don't trust you.
Archer sighed, realizing his words might have been too harsh. Back when he was at his lowest, Proton had been the one to help him regain his confidence.
Damn it. I'm a terrible friend.
Archer cursed himself internally.
Proton is my companion. But before he could say anything more. Oh, I knew it.
Archer, Proton, we really are destined to meet again. A familiar, cheerful voice echoed from around the corner. Archer, Proton, and Lieutenant Surge froze in place. Their faces drained of color. Archer's words caught in his throat, his entire body stiff as he turned to look ahead.
A figure dressed in black slowly emerged, flanked by two young women. Dylan.
Archer's already pale complexion turned deathly white. His expression was that of a man who had just seen a ghost. Proton and Lieutenant Surge were equally shaken, their eyes filled with sheer terror.
And then,
both Archer and Lieutenant Surge snapped their heads toward Proton, glaring at him with dagger-sharp stares.
You goddamn jinx. You actually summoned him here. Proton was completely dumbfounded. What the hell is wrong with my mouth? Fate never allows us to miss each other, you see? We always find our way back together. It's destiny.
Dylan's warm, gentle smile remained unchanged as he looked at the three men, his gaze lingering especially long on Archer.
Archer, are you surprised?
At those words, Archer stumbled back a step, clutching his chest. His throat felt tight, his breathing rapid.
Dylan.
Archer gritted his teeth.
Am I surprised? Of course I am.
Even though we stand on opposite sides, I've always considered you and Proton as close companions.
Dylan's voice was full of sincerity. After I send you both to prison for rehabilitation, once you've completed your sentence, I promise I'll personally come pick you up. Then, we'll celebrate together over drinks. Dylan smiled warmly.
Though, I can't say for sure if you'll ever finish your sentence.
Wait. Is he serious? Lieutenant Surge's eyes nearly popped out of his skull. How could someone say something so terrifying with such an honest, straight face?
And the worst part was, Lieutenant Surge couldn't sense a single trace of insincerity in Dylan's words.
Dylan actually meant it. What kind of twisted logic is this? I consider you my best companion, so I'm going to send you to prison for hard labor. How does that make sense? Lieutenant Surge was in shock. Gee, thanks a lot.
Archer squeezed those words out through clenched teeth. No need to thank me, Archer. You know, I'll never forget the first time we met. You were elegant, charismatic, even in the face of danger, you remained unshaken.
It left a deep impression on me. Dylan placed a hand on his chest, his smile radiating genuine admiration. I still remember it vividly.
I regret not blowing us both up when I had the chance. Archer practically screamed. Back then, he had been on a ship full of electrode.
Why hadn't he detonated them all and taken Dylan down with him? He should have done it. He should have done it.
This is exactly why I say you're too extreme, Archer.
Besides, I had Mew in my bag back then.
Even if you had set off those explosions, I would have been perfectly fine.
Dylan sighed. Archer felt another sharp pain in his chest.
He quickly covered his mouth, struggling to suppress the urge to cough up blood. But the longer he looked at Dylan's bright, genuine smile, the harder it was to contain himself. His vision darkened.
Thud. Archer collapsed. Archer. Shit. He passed out. What do we do? We need a medic. No, wait, chest compressions.
Tilt his head back. Proton and Lieutenant Surge immediately rushed to their fallen companion's side. Lieutenant Surge, who had way too much experience in this area, started giving orders.
Dylan, watching the unconscious Archer, fell into deep thought. Whoa. Dylan, you're insane.
You're the first person I've ever seen knock out a Team Rocket executive from sheer rage.
Respect. Leah gave him a thumbs up, visibly impressed. Lily. Dylan.
After a few minutes of emergency care, Archer slowly regained consciousness only to be greeted by Lieutenant Surge's face, looming way too close.
What happened?
Archer's head was still spinning. Archer, you need to take better care of your health.
How did you suddenly get anemia? Dylan's tone was full of concern. Archer's mind cleared in an instant. Right. I passed out. Dylan.
Archer shot to his feet, glaring at him.
Anemia? My ass.
You pissed me off so much I blacked out.
Don't worry, Archer.
Once you're in prison, you won't have that problem anymore, Dylan assured him with a smile.
Oh, and Athena has been waiting for you. You won't be lonely. Curse you, Dylan. You're too arrogant. Proton finally snapped.
Dylan was way too full of himself.
Oh? Dylan raised an eyebrow, eyes gleaming with interest. Sounds like you want to challenge me, Proton? Well, I don't mind. I've missed battling you guys, too. Dylan waved his hand, and Pekarant drifted forward, its body glowing faintly with violet energy.
The moment Dylan made a move, Proton immediately retreated, positioning Archer and Lieutenant Surge in front of him.
Companions, what do we do now?
Proton's face twisted in frustration.
Do we actually fight him? Because I'm pretty sure we can't win.
Archer and Lieutenant Surge twitched, giving Proton a look so sharp it could cut steel.
Don't be afraid, you guys. Take down the evil Dylan. Go, brave Rocket members. Leah cheered them on enthusiastically, clearly enjoying the chaos. Lily.
It looks like there's no way out of this today, Archer muttered, taking a deep breath to steady himself.
He straightened his back and pulled out a pokeball. Dylan. We fight to the death today. Even if our opponent is you, we will never surrender.
Archer believed in his unyielding spirit. His presence was like that of a warrior preparing for a heroic last stand.
That's right. Team Rocket never kneels.
Proton passionately echoed his companion's words, hyping him up.
Dylan, I, Lieutenant Surge, am no coward. Lieutenant Surge grinned ferociously. Since there was no escape, they might as well go all out. You guys truly are admirable. But... Peck-a-runt. Dylan's eyes gleamed with amusement as he watched the three executives make their final stand. Such commendable determination. Let's make this even more fun. Lieutenant Surge, Proton. Ha! Just as Lieutenant Surge and Proton opened their mouths, Peck-a-runt flicked its mask, sending two small, sticky poison matchas flying straight into their mouths. What the hell is this? Lieutenant Surge and Proton's expressions changed immediately. They desperately tried to spit out the foreign substance, but it had already dissolved. Then... Proton? Lieutenant Surge? Archer stared in shock as the two turned around and faced him. Wait. Did you guys just defect? How could you betray me? Are you possessed? Seeing the eerie purple glow in Lieutenant Surge and Proton's eyes, Archer immediately understood. He was worried this had to be some trick of that bizarre, ugly Pokemon. Talk talk talk. Peck-a-runt let out a raspy, mischievous laugh, swaying its body slightly. Lieutenant Surge and Proton's eyes flickered with an eerie purple light. They raised their arms in unison and started dancing. Left, right, left, right. Up, down, down. Left, right, left, right. Their moves were surprisingly well coordinated. They're dancing? Archer. His eye twitched violently as he watched his two companions perform a choreographed dance routine. Tiki tiki tiki. As they chanted some incomprehensible rhythm, they simultaneously tossed out pokeballs. A Raichu and a Crobat appeared in front of them. The two Pokemon hesitated, looking at Archer, then back at their trainers in confusion. What's happening? But their instincts told them that a battle was imminent, so they focused their attention on Archer. Dylan! You're absolutely evil. You're a gym leader. Archer was fuming. He finally understood what was happening. Dylan had used some underhanded, disgusting technique to control Lieutenant Surge and Proton, and now he was making them fight him? What kind of vile person does this? What kind of righteous person would do something like this? How can you be so wicked? Dylan's actions were so villainous that Archer felt like he was the hero here. If you have the guts, then fight me directly, Dylan. Stop hiding behind others. At this moment, Archer stood like a brave warrior, facing off against a final boss villain. Leah and Lily exchanged glances, their expressions complicated. For some reason, they suddenly felt like they were the bad guys. Archer, you're quite the comedian. You're the one in Team Rocket. I'm a gym leader who upholds truth, goodness, and beauty. Dylan shrugged, looking genuinely baffled by Archer's accusations. Besides, Champion Lance once told me that when dealing with Team Rocket, any means are justified because you are Team Rocket, after all. That's despicable. Dylan, that's completely immoral. Archer nearly coughed up blood. Never in his life did he think he'd be the one scolding someone else for using dirty tricks. Morality doesn't apply when dealing with Team Rocket. That's also something Lance taught me. Dylan said this with a straight face. Lance never actually told him that, but now he had. And let's be honest, that is how Lance operates. There was no need for morals when dealing with Rocket scum. Archer, you're strong. I believe in you. Even if you're facing two fellow executives, you can handle it. As long as you defeat them, they'll wake up. Come on, Archer, you can do it. Dylan genuinely cheered him on, fully invested in this executive civil war. Archer's face darkened. Dylan, thank you so much for your confidence in me. I really appreciate it. Proton. Lieutenant Surge. I swear I'll save you both. Archer clenched his fists and hurled a pokeball. Houndoom and Weezing appeared in front of him. Come at me. I will defeat you both. His fighting spirit burned brightly, his eyes filled with unshakable determination. The battle began. But I'm sorry. I was too weak.
Moments later, Archer was on his knees, staring blankly at the still dancing Proton and Lieutenant Surge. His voice was hollow.
Fighting both of them at the same time was just too much.
Especially since Lieutenant Surge was actually stronger than him. Not only did Archer fail to defeat them, but they weren't even fighting seriously.
This guy looks like you broke him.
Leah raised an eyebrow, nudging Dylan playfully. She was so entertained. This was the first time she had seen a rocket executive mentally destroyed like this.
But honestly, Leah loved it.
When dealing with Team Rocket, anything goes.
He'll be fine. I believe in Archer. Dylan smiled confidently. Archer is resilient. He won't break from just this.
Of course not, because if Archer really lost his spirit, who would Dylan visit in prison for fun chats? That wraps up this part of What If Natsu Had Dual Elements.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned.
Quick reminder.
What If Reborn as Gohan in future timeline will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel.
I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics.
What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? What if Ichigo awoke his powers to save his mother?
What if Transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next.
I'll take the top pick and start working on that as the series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.